Welcome, everyone, to the NoDQ.com live recap of Saturday night's main event 2025, November 1st. Shout out to everybody watching this, whether it's live or on demand. I appreciate your viewership and support. It was an eventful show from Salt Lake City, Utah. We opened up the broadcast on Peacock, by the way, no more NBC. Exclusively on Peacock. We opened up the show with Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship. Shout out to Caleb Jacobs, who sent in a $2.21 super chat. Caleb, I will read off your super chat when I get to the main event. Make sure you remind me. I know you will. We opened up with Cody versus McIntyre, and the stipulation of this match was that if Cody Rhodes got disqualified or lost via countout, he would lose the WWE Championship to Drew McIntyre. During the ring introductions, McIntyre insisted that Lillian Garcia referred to him as the real American Dream. He was trying to play those mind games with Cody. Now, throughout the match, it was several instances where McIntyre was trying to get under Cody's skin, tried for a count-out victory, tried to get Cody to lose his temper. He tried to get Cody to hit the referee for a disqualification. He threw Cody over the barricade. Cody beat the count. Eventually, Cody was able to make a comeback. And then there was one awkward moment where Cody went for a springboard cutter, but the referee got in his way and he tweaked his knee. He managed to recover and got back up. Hopefully, Cody wasn't actually hurt from that. If he wasn't, then it was very good selling. Cody came back, but then McIntyre brought the world title into the ring, tried to get Cody to use it, and then when Cody grabbed the title, McIntyre hit him with a flash claymore. He still could not put Cody away. And then the referee got knocked down by accident. The referee was out. And while this was happening, McIntyre brought that title back into the ring. And Cody managed to give McIntyre a DDT onto the belt. And of course, the referee recovers. And Cody delivers the crossroads and gets the 1-2-3 victory over Drew McIntyre. The match went about exactly as I expected it to go. I did not think Drew would win the title here. I figured it would be some sort of a screwy finish so they can do one more match at Survivor Series. I mean, I think that this is the direction. McIntyre lost. Cody cheated, so now McIntyre can complain once again. The problem is the storyline with Drew McIntyre always complaining and being frustrated. It's run its course now. Like, we've been hearing this for over a year, going back to when he won the title at WrestleMania and CM Punk screwed him. It just got old, and I'm not sure how many times we can keep telling this story. Match was fine, and they really did play up on that stipulation, but with SmackDown, I feel like they made it very obvious that Cody was going to retain here, and this is just holding us over until Survivor Series. We probably get the blow-off at Survivor Series, maybe a last man standing match or something along those lines. We'll see what they come up with for that, but I suspect we will get one more Cody versus McIntyre match. But if McIntyre doesn't win the title, then what? Where does McIntyre go from here? Do you move him back to Raw? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where they go with that. Let's move on now to the WWE Women's Championship match. Tiffany Stratton defending against Jade Cargill, who recently turned heel, turned into a villain. Tiffany had her leg taped up due to the attack from Jade. Nick Aldis, the general manager of SmackDown, wanted to know if she was willing to continue. She was, but she was having trouble throughout the match with her knee. And Jade Cargill was like a shark that smelled blood. He was targeting that knee. She was targeting that knee. She choke slammed Tiffany, took her outside the ring, but then Tiffany was able to avoid Jade, and Jade crashed into the steel steps. And then back in the ring, Tiffany got some offense. She came off the top of the Swanton bomb. Jade kicked out of that. And then Jade hit the Eye of the Storm, which Tiffany kicked out of. But then Jade just completely dominated Tiffany. 3 fallaway slams, 3 power bombs, and then finally Jaded. 1, 2, 3. Jade Cargill is your new women's champion. And as Caleb pointed out, this was 302 days of Tiffany being champion, almost a full year, going back to the beginning of 2025. Taffy time or Tiffy time is over. Jade Cargill is your new women's champion. There was also a comment in the chat from Ian who brought up that this was very similar to John Cena and Brock Lesnar from SummerSlam, which I could definitely see the similarities. The match was all right. It did feel a little underwhelming for a women's title match, and they didn't even do the usual title match ring introductions. They just went straight to the match, which you would think that they would have made a bigger deal out of the introductions. Match was fine. Nothing too special. I mean, Jade Cargill, she's a solid performer, but definitely not Brock Lesnar as far as that dominance goes. Not quite at the level of Brock, but it was fine for what it was, and a fairly dominant performance from Jade. She is the new champion, and we'll see what's next for Tiffany. I wouldn't mind if she got moved over to Raw. I really do think WWE needs a draft, and they need to shake up the rosters a little bit, because we definitely need some new blood. Maybe we get Bianca Belair coming back, and we have Jade versus Bianca for the title at WrestleMania. That could be a possibility. Tiffany, though, I think it might be time for Tiffany to go over to Monday Night Raw. And as Calvin Bowman pointed out, Lillian Garcia had the old school microphone from the 1980s, which we have seen at other Saturday night's main events. But one thing I wanted to note, there was no Jesse Ventura on this show. They finally had enough of him. After his comments in that cage match several months ago, they must have decided enough is enough. We need to get this old man out of here. He's making us look bad. No Jesse Ventura, which was a little bit of a letdown. I mean, it was fun, but maybe he wore out his welcome. Who knows? The show did move at a very fast pace. I will say this, too. The fact that this was on Peacock and not NBC, it did feel like the matches were able to breathe a little bit more. Like on NBC, they were really rushing through those matches, to try to draw in potential new viewers on NBC. But here, because it's Peacock, they're not really going to gain new viewers. So they let these guys and gals go out there and have longer matches. They were a little bit slower paced than the other Saturday night's main event matches. So in a way, that was definitely a positive for people that wanted PLE-like matches on this show. And this was basically a PLE. It's on Peacock, not NBC. So you need that subscription. That's why I have the graphic here, the PLE recap, even though I guess it is a PLE now. I say it's a PLE, 2-hour PLE, a mini PLE. I love Jesse Ventura, but the problem with him was he came off as very dated. He felt like, yes, he was a throwback to the 80s, but that was also the problem with him being on WWE TV in 2025. He just sounds like he's in the wrong era and cannot adapt to the current product. Next up, we had a triple threat for the Intercontinental Championship. Dominic Mysterio versus Rusev versus Penta. This was a fun match for what it was. It was a little middle of the show Intercontinental match with some high flying and a lot of dominance from Rusev, which pretty much gave away that he wasn't going to win the title here. I mean, he was beating up both guys, and there were a few moments where Penta got in some offense and then Dominic did, but it was mostly the Rusev show in this one. And he applied the accolade to Dominic, but Penta broke up the hold. And then Dominic started doing the Eddie Guerrero tactics. He brought a chair into the ring and tried to get Rusev disqualified like Eddie Guerrero would back in the day. But in triple threats, there's no DQ, and he didn't realize it. So Rusev used the chair as a weapon. And then he countered Penta's Mashka kick with the Penta driver. But Rusev kicked out of the Penta driver, and then Rusev put on the accolade to Penta, and the bell rang. However, it was Dominic that rang the bell and not the referee. Rusev thought he won the title, but then realized it was Dominic that rang the bell. And Rusev went after Dominic, but then Dominic sidestepped him and Rusev went into the steel steps. Then Dominic attempted to use the ring bell hammer on Penta, but Penta was able to get the hammer instead. He went to hit Dominic with it, but Dominic moved and Rusev got hit with the hammer. Dominic was able to get Penta out of the ring, and then Dominic pinned Rusev with a frog splash to retain his championship. It was an entertaining match. Dominic retains, and I will say I love the creativity of Dominic figuring out a way to win with the ring bell. Good stuff here. Dominic retains. Now, I figured Dominic would be facing John Cena at Survivor Series, but we had an interesting announcement via video package from John Cena. So John Cena has announced that for his final match in December, I believe it's the 13th on Saturday night's main event, he will be facing the winner of a 16-man tournament. And this tournament will include Raw, SmackDown, NXT. And here's something interesting. John Cena said that it could be somebody who isn't in WWE. And of course, everybody's thinking Edge, Adam Copeland. I would not get too excited about that one. I'll just leave it at that. More likely to be somebody like a Joe Hendry. So don't set your expectations too high. I mean, if it's anybody who's not actively in WWE, it's going to be like a Joe Hendry, somebody like that. But yeah, they got the 16-man tournament, and it makes me wonder if Cena's even doing a match at Survivor Series. You know, I thought he would have a match with Dominic. He is going to be on Raw in Boston on the 10th. And that's when the tournament starts. So perhaps Dominic will confront him and challenge him for an IC title match. I mean, they could always do that to set up Cena versus Dominic. I really do hope we get Cena versus Dominic. I'd like to see Cena wrestle in Boston and MSG, but you know, I'm not getting my hopes up on that at this point. I don't know. I don't know if he's going to have more than one more match. I guess we'll see. The tournament was already rumored, and Gunther is reportedly going to be the opponent, but, you know, things could change. Plans could change. Main event time. We had CM Punk versus Jey Uso for the vacant World Heavyweight Championship. This was a back and forth competitive match between these two. They had the feeling out process. Crowd was very split down the middle. I feel like they were more into Punk than they were Jey. I felt like there were a few boos for Jey. I enjoyed the match, but I had a few issues. So one issue was that when Punk hit the GTS to Jey, Jey fell to the outside. and the referee's counting, and CM Punk goes out there, pours water on Jay, and throws him back in the ring. Now, if Punk won via countout, wouldn't he be the champion? I was a little confused by that, and the announcers didn't really explain that. So that was awkward to me. And the match was a little slow in the beginning. It did pick up towards the end. You started having them hitting the big moves, kicking out of moves. You had them using each other's moves. Punk did the spear, which is a little bit silly in my opinion. And then Jay's doing the GTS. But yeah, they kept going back and forth here. Punk hit another GTS and attempted a fourth one, but then Jay countered that with a sleeper hold, which is actually a really good spot here because people think back to when Jay beat Gunther. So that was a good call to do that sequence. Punk countered that with the Anaconda Vice, but Jay reached the bottom rope. Crowd was really hot at this point for the end. And you had Jay hitting multiple super kicks. And I kept thinking at this point, all right, where's Jimmy? We're going to get the shenanigans, but no Jimmy. Jay went for another spear. It was countered with a knee followed by another GTS, and then Punk hit one more for good measure. I mean, this is kind of the WWE finish these days with the multiple finishers to end the match. And maybe that's my only other complaint. You know, they overdo these finishers. But yeah, Punk hit like 5 or 6 GTSs in this match and finally got the win clean. No outside interference, no Jimmy, no Braun Breaker, no Bronson Reed. Clean, which I'm actually a fan of the finish. You know, they could have done some sort of run-in to continue the Usos storyline, but I like the fact that Punk won the world title clean. I did like that. So I say thumbs up for that. And I'll get to Caleb's super chat. Caleb says, Seth's worst nightmare has come true. That's right. And the announcers even brought up no Seth Rollins there to ruin Punk's celebration. Pyro went off. CM Punk, your new world champion. And that was the end of Saturday night's main event. Straight and to the point. Nothing too significant, even though we did get 2 new champions crowned. But beyond that, it did feel like a fairly glorified episode of Raw or SmackDown. Didn't really feel like a major event, even though they had some marquee matches on this show. I think I would go 7 out of 10. It was a pretty good episode of Saturday night's main event. Far from the best show I've ever seen in my life, but an enjoyable 2 hours, an eventful 2 hours, 2 title changes, no match of the year contenders or anything like that. I mean, I don't think any match on this show is something that I thought was an all-time classic by any stretch of the imagination, but it was pretty solid from start to finish. So yeah, I did enjoy it overall. And I do have some intrigue now for Survivor Series and beyond. I would not be shocked if Punk is champion until WrestleMania. He'll have an actual solid run. The question is, who beats him? Is it going to be Roman Reigns? Is it going to be Braun Breaker? I guess we'll have to wait and see on that one. Thank you guys for watching the recap. I do recommend Saturday night's main event, especially the matches with the new champions being crowned, and even the triple threat. Oddly enough, the one match I would say if you were going to skip anything, it would be the Cody Rhodes match, interestingly enough, just because it really was filler in my opinion. I feel like we're going to get one more big match with those guys to blow off their feud. But the other 3, I definitely think were fun. Even the Dominic match, although there was no title change there, I still enjoyed Dominic's antics in that one. So thank you guys again for checking out the stream. And if you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and stay tuned to No DQ. You can read detailed results over on No DQ. Leave a comment in the comment section on No DQ. And stay tuned for all the latest wrestling news and rumors. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Say yes to NoDQ.com, and I will see you all next time.